rosters to say what's up before we get things started.
Appreciate it so much. It has been a phenomenal time frame so far here today, Jacob. But Leon, je t'aime, because you guys are putting on such a strong crowd performance too. The way you guys are gassing up these players, Jacob, it's so awesome to see.
Honestly, coming into this venue, I was kind of like, oh man, what's gonna happen today? How's the atmosphere? You could hear them 2 hours before the event even started. I had to go in the middle of that crowd and get a video of my own, but the hype is real and the game is ready. Let's get right into it.
And we're back. One more battle bus ride taking us in to game number 4 here, Jacob. But the important steps are starting to be made. The players have had a slight opportunity now, revitalize themselves, see if these strategies, revisit some of those strategies even for a good portion of our teams realistically. But for Doxy and Tayson, this has been the early game theme so far here today, because these guys have just been clashing nonstop. But we saw that Brazil interference take place in the last lobby, so both these teams know they have got to be even faster with this outcome. It is all or nothing, because if Brazil continues to intervene, they're just not going to be able to build back up from Rangers' ruin.
Yeah, and it wasn't just one, but it was 2 different teams, but the drop remains the same. The 50-50 on one of the chests. For Doxy, he's going to have to disengage and try to find some floor loot elsewhere. Chicho was taking a good brunt of that damage, but it's Pablo who does get dropped first. Chicho as well. And this is a good opportunity as Chino and Doxy are in a 2v2 situation. They're trying to close the gap, but Doxy goes down. Tayson, the 5-time champion, is going to fall as well. Now Chino's in a peculiar situation as he gets eliminated in the 1v1 against Triss.
It's a tough break there for Doxy's team, but hey Triss, what a come up. Chicho and Tayson are both very likely going to be revived, but they gotta be very quick because still other action across the map. Veno, Pico in a very tough position, but Yuma, he's not gonna be able to escape. Veno finds the knock, finds the full elimination here, taking full advantage of that siphon, but he still has Rise up above. Veno trying to be very wary here. If he goes down, that is the end of it for game 4, and they still want to be able to strike inside that top 10 from the leaderboard, but Veno wrapping around underneath Rise, even though he's overhead, Veno has the shield HP advantage. Veno still breaking through, doesn't get the shot that he wanted to, but Rise taking a huge chunk of his HP now. Koyota still seeing if he can apply a little bit of pressure on the backup section, but Veno, even in the 1 versus 2, he refuses to budge. That is Aura.
Oh, he finally gets the knock on Rise, and that was huge. That was 200 IQ coming out of Veno, because Vico was down. Koyota went down to finish off that elimination, which gave him a huge 1v1, and with a third party coming in, Alex and Rise have had enough, as Veno's going to be the one that cleans up that elimination. But what do you do from here? You do have the chance to get the reboot cards, but your POI has now just went to someone else.
The problem in the red alert there is that everybody knows that it's just Veno by himself. That reboot is going to be tough to make it towards, but Gabzetta, Scarpa away, already tangled up here. Snowy on the loose, trying to get the runaround, but completely caught off guard. Gabzetta, nice knock, transitioning into the elimination here. Way, Scarpa to Gabzetta, they're now in the driver's seat, and Ryu, Saad, potentially heading for the hills instead. No, they're willing to clash head on. They still don't want to depart.
Was getting 4 times the point in that last game, but for Ryu and Saad, they gotta really try to figure out a way to win this fight or get the reboot card and disengage. 80 points, they're on their way up that leaderboard. For Way, Scarpa, and Gabzetta, this is almost a must. They've been landing all around the map throughout the earlier games so far. Last one, you saw him lurk up out over to Rangers' Ruin, but they just haven't really defined that success. And this is a great opportunity with a mismatch and a numbers advantage to try to pick up these 2 more eliminations. And most important, the loot and the position to build those surge towers.
But Way, Scarpa, Gabzetta, they're still not done with this just yet. Saad and Ryu are causing enough of a delay, and if both of these teams aren't careful, a third party could definitely enter the mix. They've got to find these quicker eliminations here. Saad, though, having a very tough time. The material count's running so incredibly low. Nobody's really had a chance to recuperate anything just yet, but Way, Scarpa, Gazetta now approaching from a separate angle. Saad completely pinpoint isolated isolated. He can't get the backup he needs. Wei just continuing to close in here. Scouting out. Okay, Saad overhead. No, it's just Ryu instead. Saad taken out. Ryu nearly out of this one, but just doing his best, and it's just not good enough when you're dealing with the full trio of Wei, Scarpa, and Gebzeta.
Yeah, with those eliminations, you see the rank upgrade drops coming in. It's not going to be the biggest difference maker, but it's definitely a good more loot than what they had before. Dystopia City, Peterbot, Ritual, and Cold, they've had enough of playing the drop spot roulettes. They knew coming into this event it was a triple contested fight, and now they're taking the fight to Tay-Tay. This one's personal as Ritual gets the first knock. There's back-to-backs. Cold's putting in some work as well. 2 or 3v1 situation here on the Rhino, but it's not going to last too long. They have finally woken up. Enough poking the beast because now they got what they wanted.
I mean, you're talking about poking the bear, and take a look at what Venos managed to do in some of that downtime since he found those early 3 eliminations against Koyota's team. Flixie, Vico now back up and in the running here. This is a real opportunity, Jacob, because they've got a couple of other teams that might be a little bit too prioritized with each other, a little bit too fixated elsewhere to scout these guys out inside the tunnelway.
Yeah, I was looking at the mini-map right now. I saw another team potentially rotating in this direction, but it was outside of the mountain range instead of in. So not too risky just yet, as Muzz, you see just a huge chunk of HP missing, along with Sphinx. And to start the game off, I did see Muzz get at least 1 knock. The drop spot for that team on the other side was just too far, giving them that advantage. And that's just kind of that early surge, and that's early confidence building for a team like that.
The real unsung hero, though, for Queasy this weekend so far, Jacob, has just been the fact that he's uncontested. If this is what an uncon Queasy can look like on a global stage, then I cannot wait to see exactly how the entirety of this weekend plays out, but don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. Reasons, Alex, Anon, just taking a more slow and steady approach. Oceania has had its fair share of struggles throughout the course of today's matches, and for good reason. It's just very difficult when you are stuck in between some of these teams that are just these pre-established surge bases. It can be very hard to cut through, work around, and they're dropping so far south of the map, Jacob. They just don't have as much resources.
Yeah, definitely kind of changing things up for this game. They knew coming into this with the drop spot they had, the hardest part wasn't necessarily loot, not even materials. It was getting up and over that mountain to try to get in a good position for the game. It's Cold, Ritual, and Peterbot. You see them sneaking up, using the bush, the Flowberry Fizz, and the Crash Pad. That's Pixdarm and Demas on the other side. The revive is fresh. 2 of them are weak, and that's going to be easy pickings if they can continue to put this pressure down. Cold trying to be the first one in. Demas is the one that's getting angled out and pressured by 2 different players. Ritual is going to be there on the other side, but a surprise attack, a big shot. That's going to slow things down for only a short moment. Because Cold, he's realizing the bait and switch. My teammate is weak. I have to continue to put pressure out. It doesn't matter who it is. I have to keep these guys on their toes.
Cold and Peterbot are playing like they just see red right now. All they want to do is jump into somebody else's box that's not their own. But Peterbot, he's going to be forced to take a halt. He knows that he has to try and fight this team underneath them or just leave entirely. Demas, Darm, and Pix, they've done enough. They have pushed back, and Peterbot is pushed out of the location.
Kind of get a little bit confident there for Cold, Ritual, and Pete as they continue to kind of rotate on out. Surprisingly enough, they didn't kind of continue to stay over toward Dystopia, but what they left it, Baka, Pars, and Pump actually moved in. They're at a contested drop for themselves, north side of this actual POI, so they're just trying to get scraps. They're just trying to get any bit of surge, and right now, they spotted Cold and his entire trio rotate back toward Dystopia, and they're just trying to lurk. They're trying to get the heads-up play and an opening damage shot so that maybe they can finish it up.
Take a little peeksies, though, at what's breaking down with Kanata Rapid and Bolts. The elimination feed might be telling an entirely different story there, though, for what's shaping up here at Dystopia. Pump, Pars, Baka finding that elimination onto Peterbot now means that they are all good to go for trying to key in onto Ritual and Cold. Pars already overhead, Baka right next to him, Pump, separate angle as well. There's just so many flank attempts here, but Cold, Peterbot knows that he's got to depend on his other fragger here, and Cold could come up big time.
Hey, before Peterbot went on this huge tear for the scene, it was Cold everyone was worried about. And I remember back at the Invitational 1v2 to get his teammate back into the game and try to get them that good positioning that they had. Baka, Pars, and Pump. I do like this right now. They're kind of testing the outskirts. They're not taking that big risk scenario of moving in towards these buildings. They know they're lurking around. They know with the double pump, 2v1 situation, they can easily try to catch any bit of this damage. So for Cold and Ritual, they just got to continue to play sneaky. One has a med kit. So Taco, this is not the last we've seen of them.
Yeah, but the problem still remains, Jacob. They're going to have to deal with Baka, Pars, and Pump, who are very likely, they look as if they're keen, set on setting up to prevent Cold and Ritual from actually leaving Dystopia. And if Cold and Ritual attempt to make a reboot inside of Dystopia, they are going to be immediately pounced upon by Baka, Pars, and Pump. They have so many medkits, they can afford to stick around in these early zone ticks.
And you can see in the top 5, obviously Queasy's team pulling far ahead, but only 133 points to get into the top 5. 1 point behind is going to be Yamzo, Clicks, and Higgs, who've honestly been playing decently well, but they just haven't caught that stride, that momentum shift that we know a team like this can have, especially with Clicks and Higgs from Xset. They're kind of the fraggers, the duo from this team. And then you got Yamzo, the IGL, the mastermind of this squad. And I think as soon as they start to feel that confidence, it's going to be a huge momentum shift.
But you know what? You got to give Clicks, Higgs, and Yamzo their flowers, because most people on socials did not have them anywhere near this spot on the leaderboard. They've been holding their own as Panzer, big shot onto Mansour. That's going to be a huge opening now, and Yapko seemingly energized by that, just following it up. Panzer with a third elimination now onto Belor. They are getting active so early on.
Yeah, 6 eliminations. They play against Tinka as his trio off spawn. And it does look like somebody tried to rotate in and potentially steal some loot, but they made them pay rather quickly. Instead, his former teammate, Cammy, Hottie, and iDrop over from that Shining Span bridge. They're trying to focus on getting as much Storm Surge as possible, which is why you see them so deep and so far into the zone. But with every team rotating on out, they're going to use that as their cue to make their rotation as well, and just kind of minimizes a little bit of the risk of the teams they will actually run into and the danger they'll face.
Checking back in now, though, with Chap, Mr. Savage, and Reason. These guys have really just been sticking to their own game plan, and a lot of that entails spending some additional time inside of those early storm takes. They know that they don't have anybody contesting them, and kind of surprised, Jacob, that no one has decided to try and actually challenge Mr. Savage's team in that northwest position, but they've done an excellent job at just creating so much space and playing their search trades where necessary.
Yeah, you see, it's a whole different ball game when you are uncontested. Vanya, Pixie, Marius, they're trying to continue to find their stride, just like some of these other teams in this lobby. 110 points, definitely above most of the lobby, but not where they had hoped to be at this point in time. Pings, Malibuka, and Walk, probably the same thing could be said for them, rotating from that uncontested outpost over towards Foxy Floodgates. But even though they're not in zone just yet, Taco, you're seeing they're running into so many other trios. Baka's team, Pix, Darm, and Demus as well. And even if they find a way to get to the other side, there's a 4th team on the mountain looking in this direction.
But the real problem that I'm recognizing right now, Jacob, is that you've got several of some real heavy hitter trios surrounding Foxy Floodgate, and I'm thinking about Cold, Ritual, Peterbot way back over towards Dystopia. They're gonna have to eventually break through these teams who are already fixated in much better positions.
It's gonna be tough on that side of the map, but taking a little bit look closer towards the center. There's a little bit more flexibility around, just a whole different game here. There are a couple teams into the mix, but you're seeing no one in relatively close danger. King Phaser, P8 Zen, they have their surge base. You see not too far off, Agers, Acorn, and Poyo. They're gonna be able to get a little bit of that hive spot because you see Merstache, Queasy, and Swizzy rotating yet again to one of these bunkers. And the interesting thing about this team is because they do get the hive, because they are uncontested, and you look at the Demon's Debris and the Dystopia where it doesn't necessarily spawn there, Ranger's Ruin too far away. It's so early on in the game, but they're rotating all the way to the eastern side of the map to get these bunkers that they know no one else can get. And this is the 5-head type play that's coming out of Queasy, and it almost makes you wonder if he wins here to this weekend? Is he #1 in the all-time list?
Undisputed GOAT of IGLing without a singular doubt in my mind, Jacob. He's already considered one of the best, if not the best, IGL in the world based off his past couple of years with Global's performances. And it's just impeccable to think of what they've been able to accomplish here today, because sure, you can be first on the leaderboard, but to go back-to-back with victory royales, that's a different beast entirely, and it's going to be very difficult for anybody else to play catch-up. You have to remember, there were teams in this same position. Queasy was in this position. He was the one down below, but can't finish that thought just yet. Striker, Tisco holding their own here. Art, School, Salco, they need a little bit of a recovery point, a little bit pinched here at Sakura Stadium, just so far west of the map. They know it's only a matter of time before a third party makes the intervention here, but Art, School, Salco, they've got one knock. Striker, just seeing if he can try hold the wall, but he's not gonna be able to break away. Art just relentlessly chasing him down, and sure enough, that's gonna be 4 eliminations now in total for School, Salco, and Arc.
Hey, they're sticking to the game plan, but the game plan has now have a wrench into the mix. Veno, Vico, Flixie, they're making their way on over. This could be 2 of the most aggressive teams in their respective region going head-to-head, but Veno, he makes the call, maybe a little bit too close for comfort. They try to disengage just a little bit, but you see, they didn't take the full distance onto that crash pad. They have some materials they want to get back, but they want to control the pace of them and that team of Arc School and Salco.
I mean, the ball's in their court. Vico, Veno, Flixie, they're just going to continue to play for positioning. They know that Arch Trio is still locked in at Sakura Stadium, so they can afford to just kind of take those peek backs, see if they can keep applying tag pressure, but they are still trying to be wary of that team up on height on the mountainside peak. Payson, definitely a massive threat if they are not careful, but Boyo, Agers, Acorn, finally witnessing them be above that third threshold, and not just that, but 1,400 plus above, Jacob. It's got to be such a huge relief.
Yeah, to start the day, this is honestly the position I thought I would see this team in game after game after game, especially in game 3, where the zone favored over towards their drop spot. They were just unable to convert and really make it work. And you see the leaderboard with 51 points. They find themselves in 23rd place. I think you could have quizzed anybody in the Fortnite community and they thought that would have been impossible, but Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual probably in the same spot, only 77 damage above the threshold. And it looks like they're gonna try to take the fight to Baka, Pars, and Puff. Remember, this is the team that initially got that knock onto Peterbot, probably causing this downward spiral of that Storm Surge being a worry, but they're taking it personal, box to box. They're ready to go in, and this is the style of fighting that we know Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual look for, but he takes another massive shot. I don't know what Pump and Baka ate today, but they are ready to play.
The problem is nobody is backing down from Ritual, Cold, or Peterbot. Baka, Pars, and Pump have them fully squeezed inside of this tiny little crevice, and if that wasn't bad enough, they're also having to deal with a third party up on the high ground. Cold, Ritual, Peterbot, they're doing everything they can to try and buy themselves a little bit more time, but they know the clock is working against them. They're only just short of 200 above that damage threshold, Jacob, but they need more, and they need builds. They don't have any materials. It's all on Cold. Peterbot is just left in tatters because of that start.
Yeah, it's just a tough situation to be in because it's almost playing that mind game, the tricks of, hey, maybe I do have to fight. I need a refresh. I will not be able to get materials elsewhere. And with a team that's honestly been a terror to the entire NA Central region. This is kind of a surprise, and you've been saying it, nobody's backing down. Honestly, Papa Pollo said it as well. Peterbot plays mind games with all of you guys. He gets into your head, and that's why he's so successful, but guess what? No more mind games. I think everybody is ready to fight back.
Oh, it doesn't need to be mind games, because with Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache making the approach, Peterbot, Cold, Ritual, it's now or never. They've got to either dive in, or they're going to find themselves getting absolutely pincered by several different teams. Baka, Pars, and Pump also know that same pressure could technically be applied to them if they're not careful. Seems like they might just want to break away here, create a little bit more space. They don't actually know what kind of position Peterbot and his team are in, but Baka cracking Peterbot's shields now means he could potentially try and press forward, but with Cold just steadily applying reverse pressure, he's making it very difficult, but the builds are running so low. Baka, Pars, Pump. Pars is down though. It's just Baka and Pump now left to try and recover the situation. What looked so promising at the start, Cold is trying to shut down, but Cold needs too much damage. He has to pull back. He's got to wait for Ritual and Peterbot to provide, alleviate that pressure. But Peterbot, Ritual, now looking to try and dive forward. They need more surge.
Oh no, from bad to worse. Baka and them on the other side. They now only get the reboot, but the first knock on the Cold yet again. Earlier in this game, they took down Peter, they took down Cold, and they took down Ritual, and a West on top.
Baka, Bars, and Pub have just won the hearts of the crowd here in Lyon. And not only that, Jacob, but they just continue to make it feel impossible for Cold Peterbot and Ritual to perform here. But Clicks, Yamzo, Higgs, on the other end of that note, they're still trying to see if they can leapfrog their way into that top 5 position from the leaderboard. How many times have we seen strong performances convert to a big jump in placement? But Swizzy, Merstache, Queasy, as long as they stay tried and true to their strategy, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, and they got such a good spot, not only because the high ground, but Taco, take a look. Where is the zone going? Over Foxy Floodgate. That means there's going to be so many different elevations that if it pulls all the way towards the east or even towards the north and then back down to the south, it is going to be a roller coaster of emotions. And Venno, Flixie, and Vico throughout the day has been going through just that. 269 below the damage threshold. Even with Vito hitting a nice shot, it's not going to really change what they're facing right now. And that's why you see them scrambling, looking all around, trying to get information, figure out where they need to put their focus at.
They're likely going to have to drop to ultimate low and maybe try to play a pre-edit off of a back tarp. That would maybe be their best opportunity to find some big damage. Still, other teams are absolutely feasting here, and Venno's not going to get the chance from overhead. It's a Minish. This is their backyard, essentially, and Foxy Floodgate now really heating up a Vico. He's not going to allow it. You take down one of my teammates, I'm going to take you with them. Braids having to play for the revive visuals, just not going to be able to do it, though. And Flixie, Vico, this is a dynamic duo, though, Jacob. They could really make it work.
Yeah, they've kind of put an all-or-nothing situation going after the high ground. Even though they picked up eliminations, got some points, they have a max pull on the other side. And this is what I warned you about, the different type of elevations that are going to start to come into play as Vico does it again, taking down a Minish, making sure to clean that one up. 4 more points out of the total as they get their 5th elimination of the game.
All the way hanging back now. So much pressure being applied to this top section of Foxy Floodgate. But they are right back at home. Queasy, Merstache, and Swizzy looking to control the dam, and that's the most important part of Foxy Floodgate. If you have the dam control, you have all of height.
Yep, top 17 though, this is where placement points are going to start to set in and cascade further with each and every team that does get wiped off the lobby. Merstache, Queasy, Swizzy, they are not backing down, they are not shaking, they're just terrorizing everybody around the lobby. Bars really feeling the pain there, and that's because they have that bird's eye view. Nobody is contesting Swizzy, Queasy, and Merstache on the high ground, and look exactly what's happening because of it.
There needs to be studies done on Queasy's brain because this position is absolutely unreal. Mr. Savage, Jap, trying to do what they can to push back against Swizzy's pressure, but it's just so difficult to try and take those Bloom battles from overhead, Jacob. This is so much leverage over the rest of the lobby, and Swizzy now trying to make sure that he doesn't find himself eating more damage than what he bargained for, but still he has Merstache to depend on. The moment that Swizzy's shields get cracked, he falls back, and Merstache immediately picks up the slack.
It's going to be tough because now we're going right back on over the open, and most of this next zone is just all low ground except for the far western side of it all, where there's going to be a mountain that you can try to attach to. So you got to make sure you planned ahead, peek through the cone, get the information. Yamzo, Clicks, and Higgs are doing just that. They're not the highest up, they're not the lowest either, but they're assessing the situation. Do we need to drop down further? Or do you let a team like Pigstorm and Demas get in front of you and try to land the damage? But not everybody is feeling as safe. Not everybody is feeling as comfortable. 66 damage above the threshold. Yapko, Panzer, and Seti, even though they're inside of that top 10, they still need to make that consistency count.
But do they have any Flowberry Fizz or Crash Pad? Because it's going to be difficult for them to work their way up and down this elevation. But the way that the zones are pooling here, Mr. Savage, Reason, and Chap now trying to see if they can work their way up from the underbelly of the lobby. They've got a semi-isolated layer, but they're going to be forced to drop. They don't have the materials to keep tarping through that mid-ground section. And underneath, all the congestion is very likely.
And hate you for that too.
Picking up where his IGL left off, that is always what you would hope for in a team. Iyamzo is sadly going to have to play it through with just Higgs though, and this is a tough spot to be in unless Higgs finds a big elimination for the refresh.
That was not only points for the elimination, but placement points as well. The full trio's wiped off the map. Acorn, Savage, King, Tayson all going down. Yamso as well. A good shot being landed, but not good enough. He gets steamrolled by Darm. Marius is the one who took down Poyo. Him and Vanya are feeling the pain as well, because they have to do it without Pixie.
But they've at least got frontside low control, and that's gonna have to be enough. They're gonna need as many eliminations as possible because they need more materials. And we haven't even started the conversation of how to deal with Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache up above everybody else in this lobby looking substantially healthier too.
I feel like I've seen this episode of Fortnite before. Game 2, Game 3, and it's looking like it could be possible for Game 4. 370 points and counting. Only 2 teams in front of him, both of them weak. Vanya trying to do what he can, but he only has one teammate, Marius as well, with the full trio up above. They get the wipe onto one. They're looking to close this one out as well. Marius in his line of sight, but Swizzy, he takes a big shot. That's a surprise attack, but luckily for him, his 2 teammates have his back. Mustache gets the drop on the Marius, stays alive. They're targeting out Vanya. 3v1 situation, and they go back to win another game.
This man fucking win this game in the wall. Someone stop him.
Victory royales. Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache are
That's only day one.
Here in the 2025 Globals performance, Jacob. This is insanity what we are witnessing right now, and they deserve all of the credit. But Frankie, let me know what else they have to say.
This is incroyable, Leon! Swizzy, please stand up. Can you believe this is happening?
Yeah, I knew we were gonna win.
You knew it. You are playing like you knew it too. Queasy, you've been to so many of these events, but I don't think this has ever happened to you. Back to back to back. Surely you can't believe what's happening right now.
I mean, I can. We practice a lot. So just lucky it's paying off right now. We need to just keep playing and hopefully we'll win.
It's been really interesting to also see what's happening with the North American teams. On the analyst desk, they were talking about the fact that in North America, the top teams are conditioning the lobby all the way through the season, but that's not happening on Globals. Is it simply a case of not fearing the competition, not believing their hype?
I mean, we're just playing our play style. There's like nothing, like we're not gonna play low ground if we don't know how to play low ground. So we're just staying on high and playing that, you know.
Actually, you did well for 3 games, for your team, but also for the crowd. Are you proud of that?
Yeah, I'm so proud. I'm proud of my fans. I'm proud of my teammates. Like, they're crazy.
And for you, will you keep the high ground for the next 9 games again?
I mean, the strat is take high, don't die. That's it.
Ils vont continuer comme ils peuvent, mais ils donnent beaucoup d'énergie pour vous et ils sont très fiers pour vous et aussi leur communauté et surtout leur trio. Thank you very much. It's crazy. You have another word for your crowd over there just in front of you.
I mean, I want to thank to every fan that came here watching us, and even if you're not here but watching, I want to say thanks to everyone. It's the biggest support ever.
Thank you.
Leon, one more time, please show your appreciation for Queasy, Swizzy, and Mustache! We are heading to a break. We'll be back with game number 5.